Welcome back to the 9 News Business Buzz. I'm Ryan Frazier, 9 News business expert. Colorado is celebrating its 150th year of statehood, but for many businesses and families, it's a year of difficult math. Between an $850 million budget gap and persistent higher costs for housing and food, the pressure's on the Gold Dome to deliver results. Joining me now for a bipartisan conversation for the 2026 session are Senate President James Coleman and Senate Minority Leader Cleve Simpson. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
It's always great to have you guys here. Gentlemen, business leaders will tell us Colorado is at a turning point. Innovation is strong, but affordability and regulatory complexity are threatening future investment. Senate President Coleman, you've heard and discussed the idea of a regulatory audit. Leader Simpson, you've called for deregulation. What's the realistic middle ground this session that helps small businesses not only survive, but even thrive this year?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by just saying we make informed decisions on policy at the Capitol, and part of that is doing research, doing studies to better understand how regulation is working well and how maybe it can be improved. And so we're working on a policy together that is ultimately going to look at regulation, what works, what doesn't, and then that'll inform decisions in the future when it comes to policy making about regulation. We've heard from businesses, both small and large, across the state, in the metro areas, rural parts of the state as well, that we want to make sure that Colorado is a place where businesses can thrive, and that's one step we can work together to figure out a way to make sure businesses are working well.
Yeah, President Coleman and I will work hand in hand in this space. Also with the leadership in the House on both sides to take a hard look at and challenge each of the departments within the administration to look for redundant rules and regs, or really the ones that are overly cumbersome and really are an impact on innovation in the business community. So we'll see how that policy conversation unfolds over this session, but hopefully it'll bring some real results to businesses across Colorado.
Now, speaking of innovation, the debate over the Colorado AI Act is coming to a head with concerns that overregulation could stifle innovation. There's also, as we talked offline, an increasing need to focus on preparing the workforce for the benefits and disruptions of AI that's coming to almost every job. Senator Coleman, how do you protect consumers from AI misuse without driving developers and high-paying jobs to states with, clearer, more predictable rules?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost is having the conversations. There's a task force that's been established and has been working to find the solution that works best both for consumers as well as businesses. And I think it's also important to think about the labor force. We know that as AI can take up some jobs, how do we make sure that those people still have job opportunities? I think it's an opportunity for business to be able to scale versus it's taking away something. And so that's more people in order to do more work with those businesses. And so we look forward to that conversation, trying to find a solution between now and the end of the session.
Senator Simpson, when we talk about just workforce development in general, what are your thoughts on what more can be done to kind of help prepare Colorado's workforce for the future?
Well, look, it needs to be a concerted, really thoughtful engagement. Higher ed plays a significant role in this space. I served on the board of trustees at Adams State University for a while, and trying to recognize having those institutions really meet the growing demand of businesses. And look, even to your point, even in the AI space, this is evolving, emerging technologies that's growing exponentially fast. And like, how do you prepare ourselves for taking full advantage of that and trying to understand the unintended consequences of that emerging technology? So it'll be a challenge, and President Coleman hit the nail on the head to go, we just have to stay engaged and open to good conversations.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think there's a lot more conversation that need to be had about what needs to be done to prepare the workforce in this evolving, if you will, environment that we're all dealing with, no matter your industry, no matter your job type. Now, for many Coloradans, groceries and housing feel like an impossible math problem on a daily basis. Even those who produce our foods, farmers, are dealing with higher cost of many things versus very slow growth in income. What are your respective caucuses backing this year that would measurably lower a family's monthly expense or a small business's operating costs in terms of addressing affordability over the next 12 months?
Let me take a quick stab at, particularly in the housing affordability, like in rural Colorado, it's abundantly clear, like life is a little different in rural Colorado. And I live in Alamosa in the San Luis Valley, 250 miles from here. And President Coleman has spent time at my house with me and understands part of what life is like in rural Colorado. But like I'm on a bill again with other leaders in the House to take better advantage of Prop 123 funding, and I'll call it workforce housing, where we've constructed workforce housing, but some of the barriers have limited the ability for teachers and first responders to get in there because it's too rigid and doesn't allow enough flexibility to respond to the housing assessment needs and for me in particular in those rural parts of the state. So we're gonna tackle that and try to make some of that funding more readily available for housing efforts, workforce housing in rural parts of the state.
Yeah, and I would just add, in addition to that policy, we are also working this year on the HOME Act, and that's a policy that is going to take underutilized spaces in the state of Colorado to create more affordable housing. We're also looking at some of the tax codes that can be barriers to building more affordable housing. There's a couple of policies. Man, Ryan, it's cold outside right now. We've been waiting for the cold weather, and if you don't have a place to live, it can really be hard. Nice, warm place to live, and so our goal is to focus on how to help more people get into homes and have access to affordable housing.
The beauty here, I think, is we have a Democrat, we have a Republican here. Clearly, there's opportunities to work together. You all being here together today, I think, says that. Talk to us a little bit about the environment you all are seeking to foster down at the state capitol that says we got to work together to make Colorado better.
Yeah, I don't know how else to add to that other than really practicing it. Like President Coleman and I think, are the poster children for this effort to where just get to know one another better than just what we experience at the Capitol. Understand, President Coleman and his family and what he's trying to achieve for his constituents, and he's gone out of his way to do the same thing. And again, come spend some time with me in my house and learn about irrigating alfalfa fields and his daughter driving my tractor.
That's right.
That fosters the relationship we need.
It does. Look, in short order, I'll say, that in order to help someone, you got to see where they're coming from. So it's really important to go to those places. I have an amazing minority leader and an amazing majority leader in Robert Rodriguez, and we visit every district in the state to better understand folks. When we come back to the Capitol, Ryan, last year, 87% of the bills we passed, 87% were bipartisan. So we in Colorado, we're doing a job of working together, and I'm proud to work with Senator Cleve Simpson.
Senate President James Coleman and Senate Minority Leader Cleve Simpson, thank you both for joining us, and good luck this session.
Thanks for having us.
Bipartisanship isn't just a buzzword. In a budget crunch year, it's the way the wheels of government keep turning, and our economy benefits from it. For the 9 News Business Buzz, thanks to my guests, Senator Coleman and Senator Simpson. See you next time.